Okay, you said you were recently in Santa Fe?
I was in Santa Fe. You know what I love about Santa Fe is it seems like everybody cares about beauty and aesthetics. So everywhere you go, things are pretty. I just appreciate that so much.
You here just for fun or are you working?
Fun. I was with a girlfriend and we were just kicking around and shopping, of course, and hiking and
Good. All right.
enjoying the scenery.
Good. Well, I'm glad you like Santa Fe.
Yeah, very
All
much.
right. The environment that you're working in right now is full of uncertainty. Is full of turmoil. It's full of. I mean, that's that's for us, for the people who are involved in all this nonsense. It's got to be a nightmare, whether you're an immigrant trying to figure out what your status is, whether you're a family who your 4-year-old child is undergoing life-threatening treatment, you've been told to deport yourself, or whether you're a student who had hoped to come study in the United States. Do you represent all those kind of clients?
I do. In fact, I had you sweating a little bit because I was very late arriving to start this
That's all
interview.
right.
And the reason I was late was that I was talking to one of the lawyers in my team who, today he was representing a client who had a virtual hearing. And when they hopped onto the virtual hearing, the judge told them to come into the courtroom. So they drove to court and the judge dismissed her case, and she left the courtroom and was apprehended. And this is a person who's, doing everything right. She's married to a U.S. citizen, has U.S. citizen kids, is applying for asylum even, and going to all of her hearings. And they're just playing such dirty games with people right now. And it was just a horror show at the San Antonio court. I mean, it's happening all over the country. Just kids being zip tied and people having panic attacks and EMS showing up. And it's so appalling the way that they are treating the people who are following the rules. It's just really, really bad.
All right, so let me get your legal advice here. I am that woman. I'm in that situation. I'm on a virtual call to the courthouse, which sounds like the safe thing to do. If the judge says you must come to the courthouse here in San Antonio, can you say, well, I decline, Judge? I'll pass. Thank you.
Well, it's a really tricky situation because in this case it does feel like the judge was colluding with
Yeah.
ICE. That she knew what was going on and she was playing the games as well. I think what I would say to people is you should have a lawyer. Don't go to court alone for sure. Lawyers should be filing motions for virtual appearance before in
Okay.
advance of the hearings. And if that motion gets denied, then the client's got a real decision to make. Because if you don't go to court, you get ordered removed. You get a deportation order in absentia, it's called. But if you do get to court, you face the likelihood of having your case dismissed and then getting detained. So it's another one of these situations where immigrants who are following the rules and doing things the
Right.
right way are faced with an impossible choice. And I think, in terms of advice, every person who's in the situation needs to consult directly with a lawyer
Okay.
in a confidential
There
consultation.
you go. All right.
But from a sort of just a macro policy perspective, I hope that people realize out there in the American community that this is what ICE is doing to make it look like they're rounding up and detaining, what they would claim are criminals and lawbreakers. But these people, this is low hanging fruit for ICE. They're going after the people who are showing up for the legal process. Because they are not doing the work of going after people who are hiding out and may actually, have a criminal record, for example. So it's just so blatant and dirty. And that's what I think people really need to be aware of.
So some of this coming from the directive yesterday by Stephen Miller in the White House, you must arrest 3,000 or more people a day.
I mean, who knows if today was a result of yesterday? That would be a very fast turnaround, but that pressure has been already increasing. I mean, we've been at pressure to arrest 1,000 people a day, and so 3,000 obviously triples that. And the detention centers are full, and what they're trying to do, the reason that they're closing these cases out in court is because these folks are under the jurisdiction of the immigration judge, and they can seek asylum or other defenses to deportation before the judge. But if ICE can dismiss their case, they're doing a rapid deportation. It's called expedited removal. In fact, I was just looking at, in one of my cases, a motion from ICE to dismiss the case, and it says for purposes of expedited removal. I mean, they're just out there with it. The whole reason they want people out of court is so they can deport them without due process. And of course, we know this. We know they don't want to follow due process, but they're just straight putting it in the motions. And the thing is, immigration judges, they're not elected judges. They're not even really appointed judges. They're DHS attorneys or DOJ. They're hired. They could be fired. And they, oftentimes are just right along with ICE in terms of policy.
Right. And they have to fulfill their quota. Their contract will be terminated.
Right.
So that's the collusion part of this with the judge down in San Antonio. I dismissed the case. You have to come in. So my question was going to be, if there's no case, then what are they detained on? But it's just detaining them with no due, no habeas, no nothing. Just we're gonna zip tie you and send you off somewhere. Are they flying people out of Texas to third-party countries?
Yes. Right now, the deportations under the Alien Enemies Act have been paused by the Supreme Court,
Right.
so we haven't seen any active removals to El Salvador, but of course there have been removals to other third countries.
Sudan, what's that all about?
Yeah, can you imagine? I mean, and it's all, it's very tenuous. It's all tied up in litigation that's at the Fifth Circuit, which is pretty anti-immigrant. It could go back up to the Supreme Court by August. I have a couple of clients who are, under this very flimsy SCOTUS protection. And in similar ways, ICE is trying to get, offer deportation or voluntary departure. But when we say to them, okay, but only if you send our client back to Venezuela, where he's from, where he, would go back to Venezuela, and they say, well, that's out of our hands. We can't really control where they get sent. So it's a terrifying. I mean, it's like, I knew that all of this was on the table, of course, but I remember at the start of this administration, like reading Project 2025 and thinking about this, closing out cases for purposes of expedited removal. It all seemed so far-fetched and absurd and scary and within the realm of possibility, but also like, no way. And here we are. They're doing it. They're doing it on a daily basis.
We shouldn't be surprised. I mean, when he's rehiring Stephen Miller and Sebastian Gorka and these horrific men who are, borderline or not over the borderline fascist tendencies, and Stephen Miller, his wife just left the White House to go work full time with Elon Musk. So that's a weird turn, but. I mean, they're horrible human beings, and they're out for power and to harm people. Your firm is Goldfinch Lincoln, right?
Well, the reverse,
Lincoln-Goldfinch. I'm sorry. Right. People can find you at where online?
Yeah, so I'm on all the socials, and I do weekly shows with updates on immigration policy. If people are interested in following along, the easiest way is just to search my name, Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch. You'll find me anywhere.
Okay, you're the founder and the CEO of the law firm. So in terms of students, foreign students, and we have quite a few in New Mexico, we have a number of college and high school students who come to Santa Fe every year. What is their situation? What is their status?
Well, there was this initial revocation without notice of a lot of visas, and then there was some lawsuits, and right before the administration was going to have to go in and do some depositions, they reversed on the policy and reinstated a lot of those visas. So that was the initial sort of wave of student visa news. And then, of course, there's, Harvard-specific stuff going on. But the latest that occurred this week is that they've halted the processing of new student visas. And the way this process works is somebody gets admitted to a university, they apply and they get admitted, and then they go to their visa interview at the U.S. Embassy. So by the time they go to the interview, they've already gone through the whole application and admission process. And what DOS did this week is they said, we're just going to halt all student visa appointments, interviews, And this is going to allow us to do more social media vetting of applicants. But what this means is that all of these scholars, these promising students who are already admitted to universities, don't get to go to their interviews. It also means that people who are here are going to have trouble getting work permission. So when a student graduates, they get something called OPT, work permission, and they get to go get a job in the U.S., and then a U.S. company will often petition for them. So it's a way that smart people who have studied in the U.S. stay and work
Right.
here. I mean, it's the best and the brightest, and we are just like cutting off our nose as a nation, spite our face here, like we just don't want these smart people who are the best and the brightest around the globe, and so we're just going to stop the student visa processing. I mean, it's another absurdity, and the long-term impacts of these policies, I think, are really going to be felt.
Now, judges are reaching to the point of exasperation. I mean, their responses are back to the Trump administration or things like please, and then they add dozen or more exclamation points to see if they can reach him somehow using his own language. Now, what's the status of American citizen born in America, Richard Eeds, my social media? Is it protected as free speech or not?
Well, they haven't. I mean, with a couple of mistakes where they've mistakenly apprehended or detained U.S. citizens in raids, they haven't gone after U.S. citizens other than at the airport. So in
Right.
some cases, U.S. citizens are having their devices taken away and sent to secondary inspection, but not being detained long term. So far, it does appear that U.S. citizens are not being detained for exercising free speech in the interior of the United States. But it's, of course, not outside of the realm of possibility if you look at the trajectory of things.
That could be next. But these are not American citizens, so they have no protection of the First Amendment in their social media.
Well, they do have protection under the First Amendment, but they can also have their visas revoked. So for certain, the Fifth Amendment protection and search and seizure, constitutional protections attached to everyone in the United States. But the executive and the DOS has immense authority to disallow, time in the U.S. to somebody on a temporary visa. So someone with a green card or citizenship, they have permanent legal status here. Everybody else can be denied entry or kicked out pretty easily.
People who are detained at the border of New Mexico for straying into what is now a militarized zone that the Trump administration declared that 60 feet, though it's a lot more than that, across all the borders of border states is now militarized, and you cannot enter for any reason. They have no recourse, right? If they accidentally wandered in there.
This is something I haven't studied. I'll have to research it because this is a new one for me. I mean, we're at the end of our legislative session in Texas, and so a lot's happening here. But I don't know about this. You're saying this is a New Mexico?
No,
issue?
it's California, Arizona, Texas, and New Mexico.
You're talking about along the southern border.
Along the southern border, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. This is one I'm going to have to look into. But
Dang it! I needed
more light reading for me.
I have not been detained. All right, what's the political situation in the state of Texas with Governor Abbott and your legislature? Are they holding firm with anti-women's health, everything?
Oh yeah, all of that's going real strong, and we're going to see what gets finalized the end of the session. It's looking like a law mandating cooperation between local law enforcement and ICE is going to get through. So what that means is that every cop or sheriff all of a sudden is an ICE agent, and that doesn't bode well for public safety overall. For sure.
Bubba the ICE agent. That's what we need. We need like 5,000 more Bubbas, with another authority of fixation. You could always move to New Mexico.
Yeah, I've considered it. I like it there. You guys are pretty smart over there. But I know you're probably all thinking, no more. We don't need any more.
Oh, God, no. No, yeah, no. We want to build a wall between us and you. So you handle all these different kind of cases. Can you handle immigration cases for citizens of New Mexico? Are you licensed to practice?
Yeah, immigration law is federal, so
Ah,
I can represent people all over the 50 US. We have a virtual practice. We do
okay.
most of our stuff through Zoom, and we are expanding our detained practice. So because we're just getting so many calls from people who are detained, so
Oh
we're
man.
expanding those options in June as well for people all over the US. So we won't be bored. There's that.
Some of these people are not well off. I would imagine you do a serious sliding scale.
Yeah, we do, payment plans and a lot of pro bono work for sure.
Okay.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Kate, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. I know you guys are kind of the tip of the spear when it comes to immigration stuff, and I know it could probably be depressing, the work in this area at times.
Yes, it is stressful, and I appreciate you saying that. And but I also often think like at least I know a way to be helpful in times like these.
Yeah,
So
indeed. And these people really need help. I mean, this case today in San Antonio, your case is dismissed. You have to come see me. Then they lock them up. I mean,
yeah,
that's so dirty.
it's so dirty. That's exactly right.
It's horrible. Appreciate it. Stay well.
Thank you. Good to talk
When
to
you get ready to move, let me know. I know real estate agents.
you. Okay, we'll do.